In today's video I have a Marantz cassette player. Came from the same place I got the Marantz amp from. I didn't bother buying the tuner, which was the amp at the time. Not sure if this is related to that system or not. I guess I'll have to look up online. It's an SD330. I can't remember, wasn't that amp a 3 something? Well, I don't know where I put the amp now, so I'll have to look that up. But I've no idea, it supposedly doesn't work. It was a bit more expensive than I really wanted to pay, but I thought, oh well, why not get a matching one? Even though I don't want any more tape decks. But I kind of couldn't resist in the end, just since it might go with the other one, and it'd be interesting to see what's actually inside one of these things. What does it say about it? Made in Japan, so that's good. Just the other stuff in English and French about cautions and stuff. Oh, what have we got in there? That looks a bit weird. Get that cover off. Cover's not the best condition. Don't know if any of that stuff on it will come off or whether it's stained. It looks pretty stained. Oh, we've got a bunch of Hitachi chips in here. HA12038, there's 2 of them. And they've got the Dolby symbol, so that must be Hitachi's Dolby chips. HA12051NT. And a semi-potted transformer, or is it? It's just got a shield around it, I think. Oh, here we go. Another Matsushita motor, MMI 6A2 LK, counterclockwise 12 volt. And it's 23rd of January 85. It's a little bit newer than I would have thought. That belt, oh yeah, it's stuffed. I was going to say, it looks a bit limp. Yeah, it's actually, the other side of it's broken off and it's stuck. So we've got another gooey belt, I think. Or at least one. I can see another belt here. And yeah, that's sticking to the idler. It's making the caps to move a bit. And we've got another belt here for the, I think that's still intact, the tape counter. Interesting looking front on it. I assume all these little segments are just doubled up. Yeah, we can tell from the labels. They're just single LEDs split in half. I don't know, it's interesting, we've got a record and a pause light. Records normal, but not pause. Oops. Don't think it's actually soft touch or anything though. Probably just got a switch there for that. Dolby BC. So that's quite an early one, I think, with BC on it. I don't know for sure, but I guess it's not that early. I sort of think of them more as the later 80s, but 85's halfway through the 80s, I guess. So it's not exactly ancient. So we know the belts and stuff, so there's not much point even plugging that one in. I guess I should at least see if it powers up. But I won't try actually starting the mech functions. Hopefully it's not one that the motor just runs in, but it may be. So let's eject. That's power. Ooh. Turn the bench on. Still nothing. Make sure this is actually on the right voltage selection. That's plugged in. Surely it doesn't actually. Did I have the power point on as well? Ooh, it's dead. Well, that's rare and not a good sign, because we don't want a faulty transformer or something. That's why it's usually best to check them. Very rare you find an issue with these, but the first check is always just get your mains pins. Should have a virtual short circuit across it. And we don't have that, so that's not a good sign. But let's check it from there. That should go to the active terminal there. That should go to the neutral, which it does. Is the switch-in circuit? It is not, because I'm probably off, am I? Now it's in circuit. Or is it? Just a bad connection there, I think. So that's not promising. That's the secondary, I'd say, of the transformer. That is not a good sign. There's a fairly low reading there, except for that one green pin. I don't think there's a fuse in here, so does it have one hiding somewhere? We're not getting anything, so that's active. That should come to the switch, you would think, but it doesn't. That's connected, see there, so I wonder if there's either a thermal fuse or we've got an open circuit transformer, I think. Someone may hook this up, yeah. That's not what I want to see. It's the transformer. Well, that's a bit of a dud if the transformer's gone in it. It's possible that this motor's, well, I shouldn't have pulled too much power or anything. You're thinking, does it has some fusible looking resistors? I don't think they are fusible. Sure, this thing has a fuse somewhere. Doesn't look like it does, so you never know, that motor might be trying to turn, and because it's got a stuck belt, it could have pulled too much power and eventually cooked the transformer. I don't think this one has any, it certainly doesn't have any sign on the outside of it having a thermal fuse. Doesn't mean it hasn't got one somewhere. But this might be dead to start with. I guess if I can find out what voltage it used, might be able to use like that transformer I saved out of the old TIAC deck. I mean, it's got to be close. By the time it's regulated down to 12 volts, they've all got to be similar sort of voltages. They've only got one winding, so it's not impossible to substitute another transformer. Probably needs to be reasonably well shielded, but someone may well have fried it by putting the voltage selector on the wrong one, and that's another thing to check, because if they did that, there would be over voltage going into the rest of it probably. But like I say, it could have been just simply, no, I can't see anything, but I'm gonna have to take this metal shield off, I think. How does that, there's a bracket there, and then this thing's just stuck on, I think. Problem is it's got lacquer and stuff holding it, so I'm probably gonna have to try and loosen it off, bending it a bit, but oh well, that's the price you pay. It's not a big concern at the moment since this thing's basically dead, so if I make a bit of a mess of it, it's not the end of the world. That should slide up. Come on, there we go. I just want to see if I can see anything around the windings, which I still can't, because it's, I don't know if that cover flicks off this. You've probably got to unsolder the pins. I think that cover's meant to actually rise off, but it should slide up. Yeah, it does, but it's got to slide up the pins, which has solder all over them, which is a pain, so you'd have to unsolder everything. Yeah, so do I bother with that, or do I just basically get into it and see if I can, because I don't hold much hope for this. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that looks like a thermal fuse anywhere. Oh wait, what's this white wire? Why has one of them got white plastic on it? It should be on that green one, if anything. That's got copper wire. You got copper, and maybe there's two coppers in there, but no, I don't think this has got a thermal fuse. I think this is kaput. Definitely nothing there. I guess I could, don't think there's much point even seeing what's under that bit of white. It's got a bit of, yeah, I think it's just a couple of wires coming up by the look of it. I can push it back with a bit of luck. Oh, it does have a metal pin like a thermal fuse though, I've got to say. Problem is, where's the other side of it if it is? If you see a silver bit of connection in here, yeah, that's definitely got what looks like one side of a thermal fuse, but that should be another winding, but maybe it's, why would they put it there? The point is, like, oh wait, what can I see another white wire down there? Oh, hello. I can't, oh, white wire, white coated white bit of spaghetti over a wire. Hang on, I can see something. Where does that go? I'm going to have to take this cover off, because maybe there is more to this than meets the eye. That might join onto something. Well, that makes life more difficult. But it shouldn't be that hard. I guess these shouldn't matter which way they go, the two red wires, because they've wrapped it round like wire wrapped it on there, I think. I don't know why the Japanese insisted on that, but certainly wasn't going to come undone in a hurry. A bit of over-engineering. Oh, come on. They have really wrapped this on. It's crazy. You can keep the solder melted for a bit. You can undo a few bits at a time while it sets. That is insane. They've wrapped like half a metre of wire around this. That's just going to take all day. I'm almost tempted to cut them off. Finally got it free. Now I've got to try and clean the last bit of solder off this terminal. Was that more rubbish there? Yeah, there's a bit of wire still on there, I think. Typical. Come on. They've got some weird textured finish on them. I think like they've got a lumpy bit on them or something. Each one seems to be not smooth when you run the soldering iron up it. Can I force this plastic off here? It's going to be pretty tight probably. It's coming, I think. Obviously you've got to be careful you don't break it. Pull one of these pins out and break the wire off it or something, because that is a risk. That one seems to be melted on or something. Probably all the amount of heat there. There it goes. Oh, bingo. Oh yeah, I can see two terminals. Okay, so here's a close-up of the transformer with the new fuse fitted. You can see there's a white wire there which actually goes down into a winding in the transformer, and there's another one comes out up onto this pin. These sort of silver wires. These ones have white stuff over them, often they're just a silver wire. I guess most of them must have some sort of insulation once they go into the transformer. But where those two silver wires come up, I've just put one of these 115°C fuses there. I've actually ordered some more of them as well because I was getting low, and what are they? From Wagner, they're a TF115 temperature fuse, 115°C. This is what I always used to use. Technically you could just bypass it, but you know, I guess for more legal reasons and safety reasons, should really install something in here. It's up against the windings of the transformer. If that gets hot enough, it'll still blow the fuse. I've never seen a transformer that's actually cooked up that bad. Usually another fuse or something will blow, but in this particular unit it's probably a good idea because there isn't a fuse of any sort in here, and you know, even though you think a tape deck will probably never have anything go wrong that's going to cause a transformer to cook up, it shows that even just a seized motor can do it. So it's always best to put something back in there, and then it's just a matter of putting the cover back on the transformer and soldering all the wires back on. And if that gets really hot, that's going to blow. There we go. Probably shouldn't have peeled that end bit up, but it doesn't really matter. Not really going to be seen. Put the cover back over the shielding, and that can be screwed back in, solder the wires back on, and it's pretty much good as new, hopefully, but we'll probably have to check a couple of things in the tape deck just to double make sure there's no shorts anywhere. Okay, I'll check across the mains connector and we've got something. So that's a good sign. I better just check. There's one random diode there which probably isn't that important. Yeah. Check all those. Ideally you'd check across these filter caps, but that may well show up as a short across one of those diodes. I've got the negative off the motor in case this motor, just because the positive's got two wires on it, just in case this motor is a constantly running one, because I wouldn't be surprised if it is and that's cooked the transformer because someone's left it running. Maybe someone who just checked it recently before they sold it. So let's hook it up and see if any smoke comes out, I guess. Whoops. Get rid of those multimeter leads out of my hands. Oh, and we've got a couple of green lights there. Yeah, that's a good sign. Let's just turn it off for now. Let's go, yeah, we're on DC. I've just got to be careful, there's a mains power switch there, which is going to be live and nasty. Can I hold that on there somewhere? Always need 3 hands for these sort of things. Yeah, the motor guns on 12 volts. And we've got 12 volts. The fact that it's staying there and it's steady, I'd say our transformer is going to be fine. Guess we should see, what does this one actually put out? It's probably not far off 12 volts. Oh, it's quite high, 23. So that's what they're meant to put out. Still got a light on the front. I'd say we're pretty safe. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually cooked this, or someone recently dug this out of somewhere, fired it up, and it wouldn't go instantly, but if you leave it sitting there long enough with that motor jammed by the belt, it could be completely unrelated. What made that noise? I hope it wasn't this thing. There's always the sniff test, the fuel test. Check those regulators aren't getting hot. No, that's all fine. But I think that's all I'm going to get done today. At least we got that far. Looks like we're going to have to pull the mech out and do the usual, clean the gooey belts off. I guess what I could do is, why don't I just cut that belt off anyway? It'll probably make a bit of sense because it's got to come out. There's no point being precious about it. Let's get rid of that piece of goo there. And see, does the motor actually turn now? Oh, motor's seized, I think. Oh god. So that motor's solid. Oh, did it just go? It just moved. I don't think that was anything to do with the belt, even though there's a bit of belt still attached to it. That was seized. Unless that belt, I don't think it was gripping on anything, but you never know. It's possible it's still attached to something on the chassis. That bit's really gooey. I was hoping it would come off. It's just stretching a bit and then breaking. Okay, well what I can do is even just dag that on there, I guess. Just gotta be careful of that 240 volts. We're on. See if I can get that to touch on the that's not running, I don't think. Doesn't dim anything down or anything, but that motor's may have damaged the electronics in the motor, I guess. It's seized again, I think, has it, or is it movable? Weird, it feels like it's got a, yeah, it's got a dead spot in it. Oh, this is like a car engine with a major damage in it somewhere. Seems to stop at a certain point though. It seems to have come free now. It's definitely not the belts doing it. I'm almost letting that wire short out, which is not good. Ooh, something happened. Seems to go a bit and then die. But we won't mess around with it too much, I don't think. Did that just flick on? It felt like something flicked. Just double check that we do actually have 12 volts there still, I guess. Yep. I think we need a new motor as well as new belts. But that's it for today. I'll come back and I'll have to see if I've got another motor. Might have to start scrapping a few things. Try and pinch some motors, though I do have a couple, I think. So I'll get back onto that. Maybe I should actually buy a new one just for the hell of it. I think they're still available, some of these, just to actually do one with a new motor. Just once. And yeah, we're going to have to see if we can get the pulley off it. Normally all the shafts on these are the same diameter, I think. This has got a brass pulley. I'd say it's just push fit. But yeah, we'll see how we go. I've got a couple of the more commonly used cassette motors. I've got an EG500AD2B, counterclockwise 12 volt. And this is a Mabuchi one. Is it Mabuchi? Whatever those. Oh, this one's got a Matsushita. I think this is a Mabuchi. Interestingly made in January 97, even though it's new, or it was until I used it recently. That's the Wagner codes on those. And this is just got an MMI 6S2LK, does say 12 volts. I'm not sure what the 6 refers to. L, I think, refers to left rotation sort of thing, or something like that. So it's also a counterclockwise, which is what we want in this. I think all these decks, like I say, with the motor mounted on the back facing with the shaft in that way, are all counterclockwise, and the ones that are mounted opposite way around are clockwise ones, because you never saw many of the clockwise. One thing I did try both these motors in that AOS system, and they both didn't play very well, so I'd be interested to see if it does work in this. One thing I guess I didn't think about again is that these have slightly shorter shafts. They're probably not going to be too bad on this one. I don't think this one's quite as long, but these deeper motors, all these newer ones are kind of a bit more shallow, but these big old deep ones often did have a longer shaft, so I didn't actually check on the Wagner website if they had the longer ones, but I do remember in the past I've occasionally had to order longer ones. So we're going to have to take this motor bracket off, take another bracket off here, remove the old belt, or belts, because there is another belt that's stuck to the pulley, and probably putting black stuff on my hands. I'm not sure if there's any other stuff, so I guess we better see about getting this mech apart. Looks like we've got 3 screws underneath for a start. And I'm not sure if the front has to go or what we've got to do with this one. They're all different, so just a matter of pulling things to bits and seeing what happens, I think. Does this cover come off? I think it looks like it should, but not with the front panel on it, does it? Is the deck actually attached to that? It's got some sort of weird plastic stuff attached there. Oh, so the deck's got 4 screws onto the front panel. Whether I even needed to take all those screws out, I don't know, but yeah, this deck looks a bit like... Can we take the back off? We can, more look at it. No, we can't, because it's bent. As part of the base, it's just got screws to hold the corners where they've bent it. So I'm not sure what is the best method. Can I eject this thing? I can at least do that. I think this door... Got a big cumbersome door thing may come off, or not. Surely some of that unclips. I think there's pin there, so I think you've got to poke this one on the ends. Not sure what you touch to... Oh, that's taking something out. Oh yeah, that's it. Definitely sliding that inwards. I think that'll have to come off anyway to get this apart. Looks like the bottom one tends to go first. Come on. Well, sometimes I press on that, it starts coming out. Press the top, there we go. Should be able to... Oh, what? The inside part comes out. Well, that's about as much use as... I don't know what, but something very useless. So, okay, so that's just plain weird. I don't see the point of why you would want to get that out. Maybe to clean the door, and that's about it. So the door must push through the hole in the front. So we've got one bit for the aluminium and one bit for the plastic. I think both may need to go. But I'll see what happens here. So then we've got the circuit board attached Do I bring the circuit board with it? We can unplug part of the tape deck. I can unplug all of the tape deck if we cut a cable tie or two. That doesn't... oh, it can come out. Oh, wait up. No, it can't. One of them's soldered to the board. The other 4-way, which doesn't even go to the tape deck, is not. Oh, so that goes to the power switch or goes to the headphone socket. So we'd have to cut all these cable ties if we want to get the deck completely removed, which I don't necessarily want to do. So I might unscrew the RCA sockets. That's all that holds the circuit board to the back, by the look of it. And I think the best way is just to unscrew the few circuit board screws, a couple at the front near the switches and one on the side. So that we can remove the whole lot. Oh yeah, the front's already coming off. Oh, that other bit underneath came with it. Oh, we've got an earth wire or something over here. Of course we do. And then we've got, yeah, the power switch is connected to the voltage selector and stuff, so that may... is that easy to get off? I can actually unscrew the power switch. I'm not sure we really need to, but it might be safer. You could even take the voltage selector off in the transformer, I guess, but then you still got the still connected to the power socket, so that's no good. I think we'll just undo the 2 screws and remove the power switch. So that's the only, of course I just soldered the transformer back in there, didn't I? Now it's in the way a bit. Actually it's in the way a lot, I think. I might actually undo the transformer then. Since we know exactly where those wires go, having fiddled with them so much, we've got a counterbelt. But yeah, this bottom bit is still a bit doing some weird stuff. I think it's moulded to the rest of it, so I guess you just take this 4 screws out on the black tabs. And see what happens with the tape deck. It should lift out or tilt out. So it looks like there's 3 belts in total. Who knows what else we'll find. I guess we should check idlers and stuff if it has any. Where did that screw go? I found it. It's the other reason to have a long screwdriver. If you drop one on the floor, you don't have to bend down to get it. You just pick it up with a screwdriver. Oh no, I've got black goo on my screwdriver now, of course. It does that. Oh, do we have to eject it? Do we have to do... who knows what we have to do. It doesn't feel like it's going to just lift out of those little pieces. So if they're part of the bottom... how on earth does that operate? Oh, you can lift it up. Oh yeah, you can lift it up and get it. I think this headphone socket's going to have to come off as well. Although that's probably means you're going to take the aluminium off. This thing isn't much fun. There's the counterbelt. Or do I just... might have to snip some of these cable ties anyway to get rid of this headphone socket cable. Take it off there. Let's join all the head wires. That's 3 cable ties so far. If I can push it low enough, we should be able to slide the tape deck out, yeah, above it. I've got some other black wire as part of the head wiring. And now that we've cut that much, I'm going to get black stuff on me. I think we might as well cut that last wire there. Oh, is that needed now? Actually, I don't think that... oh, yeah, it is. Then we can pull the head connector, pull this mech connector. And there's still a black wire. Is that joined to something else? Of course it is. Yeah, there's a black wire going from this little copper bit, so I guess we can unscrew that. But then there's another black wire. God damn it. Oh, that's to do with the erase head or something. So there is another head connector, a second one. It doesn't want to come out, and you've got to squeeze it. Okay, so I'm going to put that wire, let's leave that hanging over the front or something so we don't lose it. And the mech is free. And what have we got here? We've got a plastic fronted thing. This is another one that's got an idler off the capstan shaft. There's a little cutout in that aluminium bearing thing. Seems to be okay. I can't see, usually if they split there's a great big gap in them. Pinch roller looks like new almost. It's very clean as well. Head's quite filthy, and I think that, does it have a little bit of wear? Shouldn't have a wear bar there. My god, that's a bit weird. It's got a little wear ridge. Yeah, definitely a wear ridge on both sides. Seems a little close to the centre of the... No, it's, I mean, I would have thought it'd be a little bit off to one side of the head, but it's right almost in a bit from the edge of the little headpiece there, but yeah, erase head's absolutely filthy. But that's usually the case that we need to clean a few things. So let's get to the dirty end of things. And we're going to have to change the belts and the motor simultaneously because the motor's shot. Which is kind of good in a way because we've got to remove the motor. Well, I probably didn't have to remove the motor to get the belt on, to be fair. I think we can put this motor in place and fit the belt to it easy enough. So just the two screws, yep. Although the other way makes this belt easier to get to and clean. Still some muck attached to the pulley, unfortunately, so I have to get that off. And the motor was facing with power up, wasn't it? Yep. So I guess the first thing to do is get rid of all the muck off that bit. I'll get some acetone soaked paper ready. And I'll get that bit off that other screwdriver while I think of it. Because I'm guaranteed to touch it otherwise. Where's my other flat blade? That one will do. Because we need to reuse this pulley. That's actually coming off. It's got some green stuff under it. That's new. Yuck, look at that, like corrosion. Well, at least it helped it come off. I guess that's one advantage of it. Yeah, usually it's just a gooey belt and that's about it, but there you go. Getting it on myself, of course, and some of that screw. Oh, it's everywhere. Get some of this muck off my hand. That's the black stuff off. What is this green stuff? It's like a layer. It's almost like lacquer or something. Well, that's a new one. Comes off quite easily at least. Is that it? That was it. Very weird. Almost need something slightly abrasive to clean that. Not sure. Where's a scourer? I think that needs a bit of scourer to clean it. Yeah, this pulley actually has a bit of the motor shaft sticking out the other side, so it's a bit closer than that AO one, I think. Well, that'll have to do, I think. I'll take the bracket off. So the motor has the connection sticking out to the right. So we want that roughly back in the same place. And the next thing is, like I say, to measure this. That's more like that screwdriver, isn't it? Slightly more than that, so with that gets to the top of the little ridge here. Now these brass ones can be a bit hard to get off. Usually a pair of side cutters or something. That one's moving. Probably need some bigger ones. Try some big electrical ones. And off it goes. It's got some sort of lacquer thing on there, I think, to maybe to glue it on a bit. So, I guess we could try either of these motors, just make sure the screw holes should be the same. Yeah, they match up. It's quite a bit shorter. Is the other one any longer than that one? I don't think it is. Not by the time you add in that little thing, but then this one might actually have too much of a ridge there. Yeah, it's awfully close. And that is very loose on that shaft. That's almost to the end, so that's impressive. I could go slightly higher. That could almost do with a dab of glue on it. It's pretty tight, but it's not as tight as on the other one. But anyway, before we fix anything permanently, see if we can get this deck actually running and running properly, and see if this motor's any good, because I better not glue a thing onto it if I have to send it back. But I can't imagine they're faulty, but given it was made in 1997, that's a very old motor. See that, they're the screw holes that we use, so that must go into it like that. It should clip in somewhere, shouldn't it? That's it, like that. Nothing. I thought there was something else holding the other corner, but there's nothing there, so well, there you go. 3 corners are held, so as long as these reach, which they do rather nicely, probably better than the other motor in a way, depending where those wires end up. So that should be the motor sorted. Now I'm going to take this other bracket off, and another cable tie, which doesn't necessarily have to come off, to be honest. We'll see. Not that it matters much, but it's easier to leave them in place so you know where they are, because often you forget exactly where they were. What is holding that edge of that in? Is that some sort of glue? It's coming, you just got to put a bit of force on it. Yeah, well, it's not any real point. That looks rather iffy as well. Like there's some corrosion on there. Is that just the grease gone weird? It's just a greeny coloured grease maybe, or it's... Whoop. I've just made something happen in the mech. Oops, now you're going to jump out, aren't you? As soon as I touch it, it manages to free itself. Now the other end's going. I think I've bent it a little bit. Get in there. That's horrible, whatever that is. It's probably just grease that's gone really sticky. Yeah, that's that. Can do with a re-lube. Always best to remove what you can of the old stuff. And now it's on the other end of the capstan. If anything, it does have a washer. Oh, that's right. Oh, this could be interesting, because this capstan may have a rubber piece on it to run the idler down in there. What's it got? I can't see a thing. Hopefully it just runs straight off the shaft. impossible to get the light down in there. Oh no, maybe it does have something, does it or doesn't it? Hard to tell. Let's try and get this gooey belt off. Oh, it wasn't stuck on that well, so that's something. It might actually still be intact, just. What was that? Something kind of funny. Ooh. Yeah, I wonder if something's coming off in there. That's what it feels like. Maybe I shouldn't be pulling this thing right out. Does that have a rubber sleeve? Oh, you'd have to get it. You'd have to take this out of the way, wouldn't you, and put it. Yeah, that's how they work. Oh, I'm going to leave that then. I don't have to take the capstan right out. Be nice to do. I can put a bit of oil on it, even like that. But there is, I think, a rubber sleeve over where the idler fits. Because that's what's sitting on this back bearing. And if you pull this right out, you've then got to fish it out through the hole. And then you've got to try and get it in there as you slide the capstan back in. Not the easiest job, so I think we'll just give that a miss. I don't have to pull the capstan out, like I say. It won't have to put a little bit of oil on this end, and I can always oil the other end slightly if once it's back in place, sort of thing. I'm still touching belt. I'm always touching belt. No matter how hard I try not to put my fingers on it. It feels like there's a lump in the capstan there. Is that just the belt's gotten harder? I think maybe that's all it is. Yeah, this belt is really, yeah, this is actually, it's good in a way because it's dried up without going gooey. I think it's just gone hard more than gooey. Yeah, there's a bit of corrosion under it. I have seen that before where they go hard. Well, at least that all came off. So that belt hadn't fully gone gooey. It was starting to transition at the end there, I think, between going hard and going gooey. And let's put a bit more acetone on there, I guess. Always pours out of this bottle too quick. Get it off my finger. God, it's blackened it just cleaning my finger. So it's some sort of gear here, must lift something up in the mech, and then we're turning it, or we're trying to turn it. Yeah, it's too thick for even this to get off. I'll have to use a cotton bud, I think. Yeah, I really shouldn't have bought this tape deck, I don't think. I knew it would be something like this again, but wasn't expecting the open circuit transformer bit. That was a bit of an extra. Very rare, like I say, for a tape deck transformer to fail for any reason, or to have any power supply issue in a tape deck, or at least these sort of normal Japanese standard sort of hi-fi ones, home hi-fi ones. I'm sure there's exceptions to that rule somewhere. And that has got a lumpy bit of something where I think it was starting to corrode in a bit. Oops, put a little bit of a scratch on there. Not the best, but it's not going to worry anything too much. That is probably another job for the scourer. Just give it a quick going over where that belt was stuck on. Because we've definitely got a bit of lumpy corrosion stuff there. Looks like it when you've only got that amount of hardly any black rubber on there. This thing actually gets it off alright. You can see that sort of drying a bit. Yeah, it's still a little rough. It's not that important. Probably helps the belt grip if anything, but no, that feels pretty good. The only other thing I do have to look at is, thank God that little belt wasn't completely destroyed, because I think we can just clean the pulley down in there that the other belt went around. Another reason I don't have to take the capstan off, if that belt was all goo, it would probably be easier to take it out. Maybe you probably could get it out of here fairly well. And the other pulley that belt goes in, I'm pretty sure that left a bit of residue. Yeah, bit of black stuff coming out of there. And that should be about it, I think, although I've got some black stuff on that bit now. How did I get it up there? Pretty sure that wasn't there before. It gets everywhere. So get rid of that. Any on the end? Yeah, we do have a little bit on the end. Oh, go away. Where that belt goes, that gives us an idea of what the old one was. It's oily as that thing, and very limp. And we need a counter belt, and we need a flat belt. Trim some of this. Okay, so that's quite a long run. Okay, I think this belt's somewhere around the 75 in diameter, so we'll try that. I think that's just about the right size. The other one was a bit too long, and I really don't have any others in stock. I almost need to get some flat belts again, but yeah, that seems pretty good. Where's the pulley? If you can sort of stool the pulley and it doesn't slip too much, you should be on the money, and it's obviously not too tight at the same time. Yeah, that's good. Thank God, because that's the last one I got really in that size. I might as well put the motor in place so that holds that there. But I need everything between about, I think, 54 and 95 diameter. Because again, they're always those sort of ones that get used, and the bigger ones and smaller ones much more rarely, because pretty much all these decks are sort of designed around the same sort of capstan sizes and motor distances and stuff, I guess. Oh yeah, I knew there was something else I had to do. Put a bit of grease on that. That had quite a bit on it. I don't know if it really needed that much, but we'll put a bit back on there, I guess. Seems a bit too much really, but why not? And I've got to put an earth thing back on there, haven't I? I only want to put one screw back in. Yeah, these bottom bits are a bit weird. Oh, they clip back in, that's it. That other screwdriver, I just saw it. Oh, you've got to put the thing back on the capstan as well. There were two little screws here. Oh, there's the other one over here. That was the one I took off first, I think, with the earth wire or whatever it is. Oh, I was going to put a bit of oil on that, wasn't I? No, I didn't. Oh well. May not be that necessary. So it seems to spin nice and freely. And we'll give the deck a clean. But yeah, the heads look like they've had a bit of wear. Not surprising, if someone bought a tape deck like this, they probably intended to use it. And what year was it again? It would have had a bit of use since back then. 85. So you can count on having 10 to 15 years, decent years probably, if not longer, depending how big a tape collection people had. Even when CD came out, people didn't just throw their tape collection out or anything. If you had a decent one, you'd keep playing it on tape, because you're not going to buy all that again unless you're really passionate about getting the ultimate sound out of it. But you know, when you're paying $16 or something each tape, it gets very expensive, and then having to replace it with a, I mean, I guess maybe you could sell the old tapes for something back, but when you got to replace it with a $25 to $30 CD, you'd have to be earning good money back in them days to afford that. Guess I should probably clean that idler. That is reasonably, that was stiff. Now it doesn't feel as stiff. Is there something after getting caught with that last one with lots of back tension on it? And it's got some sort of geared wheel. Am I turning the geared wheel? Oh yeah, I can see that turn, and I can see what looks like a little rubber brake on it. Is that a brake? It's a something, so I think we'll leave that for now. Probably should just clean those buttons off while I can get to them. Because, you know, I may not pull this thing apart again, who knows. Chances are I'll have to. Know what these things are like. Get rid of those belts. I guess I'll just leave, I usually just leave the cable ties lying around to remind me that I need them. I better clean, I don't think it was bad, but I'll clean the pulley on the reel and on the counter. Nearly said capstan. Just to remove any old belt residue, which I don't think there is much. There's a little bit though. A little bit of black stuff came off, so that belt wasn't the best, because we really want to get this belt on here. I guess before I shove it back in, yeah, I can put that back in the front, and then yeah, 4 screws there plus 1 for the earth. Get that old motor out of the way. Should keep them away from your tapes and stuff, since they do have permanent magnets in them. And there's dirt down inside the deck. It's come through the door, no doubt. That just needs to push out of the way. They came out here somewhere. I've got to leave it there for the, so I have to kind of lift up, slide in. Yeah, not the easiest thing, and then get into those little white brackets underneath. That's it, I think. Where's my counter belt gone? Should have, right under the deck. I was going to say I should have really been pulling on that as I did it. Pulling it out the side. You might even be able to get it on the counter. Just makes it so hard because you've got too many things to juggle. I think I can get that on the counter. Let's put that around the counter, boy. Is it still in the reel? Yep. Important to check because they love to fall off. That's it, I think. Bit of an odd weight on it, but that's manufacturers for you. Oh, we can. Well, I think that's why I like to leave these things just hanging over the front and stuff, because there's no way you can miss them then. You might stuff up and put the screw in first or something, but at least as you assemble the whole unit, you cannot leave it. It won't get jammed in behind the mech, and it won't short on something because you missed it. Because it's amazing how they disappear and out of sight, those things. By the time you finish messing around, must be a hole right there somewhere. There. Now, have we got the wires? Yeah, they're not jammed in between the mech and the front or anything silly. Always best to check there's nothing, you're not clamping something between the two. There's a weird spring there, must be part of the mech. So we should be able to plug everything back together as well, I guess. Now this circuit board is dropping out, of course. Not sure where that's meant to go. And this somewhere amongst all this stuff. Where was the plug? Right over there. So that must come in further forward, I guess. Because it's not going to reach otherwise. And obviously we don't want any of that scraping on the capstan or anything. That's just our power. Oh, didn't clean the idle as other thing I was going to do, but not the end of the world. Doesn't usually make much difference, but it's nice to do it while you're in there. Now, how does this base fit on? Just got to get everything to slide where it should go, in between the aluminium and the plastic. It doesn't seem to want to. Oh, there we go. Get that in place, then we have to sort of ease off and let this drop down, which of course has popped the front off again. I think it went back on. Now we hold the front on. It's gone sideways a bit. Could probably leave the power switch hanging, but it's a little bit risky since it's 240 volts. I think we'll leave the circuit board like that. Looks like it's definitely in place. Don't think there's any earths or anything to worry about there. I might put at least one screw in the power switch and just put on the front panel so there's not 240 volts floating around. It's just getting a bit too dangerous, even though you don't technically have to do it. Remember that I've only got one screw in that, and then there's the earth here, probably is important to have in place just to stop weird noises and stuff. Solder our transformer back together. Got to solder the motor on, and I guess we'll find out if this motor's any good. It's bound to be off on the speed, but let's hope it doesn't sound like that other AOA deck I put it in. Positive, negative. I think that's everything connected up, everything in place. I think we can power that up and see what results we get. Just remember, this has got a lot of live stuff in it. Once you do add power, well, the deck just reset itself. That's a good sign, I guess. Doesn't do anything there. But do we need switches pressed or something on the top? Does it have any? Oh, I can hear something. Oh, now I can't press the play button. Yeah. Not a good sign. Yeah, we've got no action from it at all. So better just be a bit careful here that something's not cooking the power transformer or anything. I did plug plugged all that back in. Hopefully the right way around. Who knows? We haven't had one of these red wires come off again, have we? No. We've got out. Let's press the play button in. See if we're getting any voltage onto that motor. I'm sure we had 12 volts there before, which is interesting. Now we don't. But that's probably because I know. Yeah, well, that's probably your issue right there. Those wires. I don't think we're pressing the. Of course, the mech was in a different position. Oh, it's just that. Ha. Oh, it's running now, but not. Oh, not running mechanically by the look of it. And fast forward goes while I hold it down. Rewind while I hold it down. Play while I hold it down by the look of it. Interesting. And that play's still going now. Let's just turn that off. So it was just these here, a couple of wires here. There's always something. Of course, they go right around the front of the board here, where they're right where the switch is. So they were just holding the switch off. Still in play by the look of it, or some mode. Oh, we had VU meters, so there they are. Something's happening. Don't know how good the recording on that tape is, but at least it doesn't sound like it's all horrible like it was in that other machine, the Iowa. Yeah, when you don't go into fast forward first, it doesn't seem to want to work. Dolby off, that sounds better. Metal off. Normal. Well, it almost sounds like it's right on speed and everything, so it definitely wasn't that motor. That sounds pretty good, not any real sign of bad wow or anything, and reasonably close to speed, I think. But I still have an issue where this deck sort of clicks up and then clicks off again, so I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, if you hit play first off, nothing happens. Hit fast forward, hit play, it goes into play. One channel's down. That's pretty smooth, as you'd hope, with a new motor and new belts in it. That's what they should sound like. It should be zero wow, really, or very little. Oh, that channel just came good. What on earth is going on here? Yeah, that doesn't sound too happy. What is making that noise? Now we've got both channels close. So I think that play does actually take a delay. It goes, oh no, that time it didn't. Yeah, it clicks straight in. Seem to have a delay. Nothing happens and it clicks in. Well, actually, one thing, let's just try it on another tape. Does it make a weird sound in rewind? Yeah, it's only on that tape. Oh, we're on the wrong end, maybe. Put the right buttons here. So something could be a little stiff in the mech there somewhere. Sounds quite good. Goes into play now. Very weird. Maybe something else in the mech's a bit stiff from not being used. Very odd. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty close to the correct frequency as well. Now I've got to turn this terrible frequency counter on. At least I don't think the mic picks it up as much as it used to. Well, turn it off a second. Let's, what do we need? This lead. It doesn't reach, does it? Anyway, we don't want to hear 1 kilohertz, do we? We are, wow, 18 hertz too fast. I'm not sure that's even worth tweaking, but I guess I should try and get it. It's always fun trying to get it exactly on frequency, and of course we're going to use a metal screwdriver heading right for this voltage selector. Why do they design them like that? I guess you probably should use a plastic tool anyway. Now I've got to feel it go into the pot. There it is. Oops, slightly faster. Oh. 10, 12. .05. This one's actually adjusts quite nicely. It's got good ability to adjust it. I think the tape just ran out of, as it always does. That does not sound happy. Is that the belt? I think the belt's slipping on there. It's got so much tension. Right on 1 kilohertz and flickering up to 1001 or 1000 hertz. So I can't get better than that. And you can actually stall it. I don't think that belt's quite up to the job, so I might have to put a better belt in there. Ideally it would be a 1.4 square probably. That sounded quite good. See what John Farnham sounds like on this one, whether it can play it or not. Seems to, so I don't know what was up with that AOL with this tape. So tell me tenderly, I want to give my life to you. Yeah, it seems to be alright. Now, let's try rewinding on it. See if I can get back to the beginning. Back to how that's going, and yeah, that's exactly how it should be. You chuck the motor in, you get very low wow, tweak the speed a little bit, and everything's fine. Starting to slow a little bit, but it's always the end of the tape you'll find if there's any issues. Best way to test the belts and stuff, and that belt is definitely, yeah, can't quite make it to the end. Oh, I did get to the end, I think. Does this have some sort of auto stop? Yeah, that tape seems to be fine. That's what I thought. I thought I'd tried it and something that was fine. So that, still not sure what was going on with that AOL with not being able to play that tape, except when I put the original motor in there. So same belt, same everything, just the motor. No idea. Maybe there was still a bit of an issue with. Maybe that old motor had more torque than these newer ones, and it was able to overcome some sort of drag in the system or whatever, something that wasn't turning as freely as it should. Though I did check the reels, so there's not really, and the capstans, so there's not really much else it could be, so no idea what's going on there. I guess the only thing left to do is to try recording something on this. Oh, that's not going to rewind. That's actually a good one to test. I think, is that a 90-minute, that one? 60. Well, 60 still probably longer than most of these commercial tapes. Yeah, and it can't even rewind it. Well, I was afraid that might happen. I guess we'll have to use the old pen trick or something. If the tape won't do it, I'll just have to hurt myself a bit. I don't start seizing as much, but it'll do. Yep, beautiful. Records a nice high level, so it's actually a pretty good little deck with a new motor in it. But we do have the issue, I'll just have to pull this, that's why I didn't put it all back together too much. I'll just have to change that belt over. Of course it's one under the other one, isn't it? Surprised that was so... it does actually, yeah, when you turn it. I didn't really test it as well as I probably should have. It's just a little slippy. Doesn't help that it's a smaller belt probably. That's a bit annoying. Oh well, I'll swap that over and we'll have a listen, or we'll just check the rewind I guess once I do. Might even just see if it's possible to do this without pulling the whole thing to bits, because I should in theory be able to just take that bracket off, pull the capstan back a bit and do it, and then get the belt back on the motor. So you probably don't have to absolutely take the mech off if it was just a belt swap, but of course these days, in the old days, that's what it was like. You just like get the minimum access needed. So that does come off. Of course that little copper bit sprung off again, as it likes to do. And I should be able to, whoops, I nearly pulled the belt off with that. Not that matters because I've got to pull it off anyway, but I can't really get that bracket well out of the way. I guess we'll have to do something like that. Take the main belt off, lift this up slightly, and there, that should be possible to do, because this is, like I say, before you had to clean gooey belts off and check every single bit, a lot of the time the service was a lot quicker because this is all you had to do. Lift that up. We want a slightly smaller. I'm just wondering if that picked up any, if I left any stuff down in the thing. Doesn't seem to. I thought I might have picked up some slippery stuff off the old belt in there, but don't think so. So I might see if I can find a 1.4 square proper belt rather than an eBay dodgy belt, which are a bit small for that job, I think. It's going to be one of these sizes, I guess. That's getting there. That's a 46. And then the next one's a 51, which might be a bit big. It's basically the same size. So do I put... yeah, that's the guy. It might be a little smaller, even though that must be roughly the same size. Let's try the 51. Looks like I'm going to use the new one I bought already. They don't take long to disappear usually because it's always the same sizes. And that feels like it should fit on there nice and tight. Yeah, that's definitely that bigger belt. Got a few twists in it, get the twists out of it. Yeah, look, you can see the capstan spring back. I don't think that's going to slip in a hurry. A smaller one I think would be too small. Oh, better put the big belt back on, the flat belt. Yeah, it's a bit more difficult with all this wiring in the way. But I should be able to get that up under there, hopefully. Yeah, that's pretty much going up on the pulley, or not quite. That's it, I think. But this used to be how quick you could fix it. Whoops, don't get it on the grease. Yeah, it didn't. Oh, did it touch it? I think I got a little bit there. But you could actually fix a tape deck quite quickly before the gooey belt days. It's not sitting on the pulley 100%, it seems to have lifted up the top somewhere. Bit of a turn might get it back. Yeah, that's in the middle now. But that was literally it. You just had to do a quick belt change like that usually. Well, that slots in a lot easier now. Where did I put the little screws? So yeah, if there wasn't a need to over service them and check every bit of grease and that, this is how easy they could be. And you weren't worried about cleaning all the buttons and stuff normally. Just check everything. I've got to make sure those wires don't get on that switch again. I think that's it. I can pretty much stick everything back together. Okay, now which tapes would it play up on? That one for sure. I prefer to put that in than put my test tape in there. Yeah, it's back to doing that weird stopping thing. I forgot about that because it came right. Yeah, it's doing it again. Is it the, I wonder if it's the auto stop mech. That's got right to the end. Well, for an auto stop mech, it doesn't operate very fast when it should. But yeah, that's right. No, I'm pressing stop. Used to stop eject, but that's gone right back to the end of the tape, as it should. Guess we might as well try it on the test tape as well, so we can rewind that properly. Yeah, no weird squealy sounds. That sounded like it got back to the beginning. Yeah, leader tape. Oh, well, that's all that prime. So yeah, like I say, normally I would put a 1.4 build in. If that's what comes out, you should always put a bigger one back in. Especially when it's something that uses a bit of high torque. Man, not going into play again. Even after I've gone into... So something is going and stopping immediately, yet the motor still runs. How it works, of course. As soon as I look at it, it works. Yeah, something slight, the slide plate goes across. I must do that on every mode change. It kind of operates the same whether it works or not. So is it just something to do with me pulling it to bits, or I probably need to try this again from cold, I guess. Oh, that was a terrible recording off that duplicator machine, I think, with that weird sound in it. Position, line mic, record muting, obviously record levels, here chrome, metal, Dolby on and off, and BNC, much like that AOL, which was I think a year earlier than this thing. Super hard metal alloy head. So maybe if it wasn't that, it would be even more worn than it is. It's not badly worn, but it does have a little bit of wear in it. Let's try clean some of this stuff off. It's got a few scrape marks. I think it's just a bit of dirt on my door should come off. A bit of dirt on the front panel, so it's been splattered with something. It looks like a bit, like maybe that's what's on top of it. Probably been sitting in someone's garage or something, waiting to be sorted out one day and copped a bit of stuff. Yeah, it's in quite good condition once you get a bit of this muck here and there off it. I do quite like this champagne-y gold colour that Marantz used. Sort of a light gold colour. Yeah, I'm spreading something around there. Yeah, a few marks. Still a bit around these switches. That front panel is pretty good. A couple of the switches have marks that don't seem to want to come off. Yeah, that one I think is actually something scraped through the actual coating. Bit of a scratch right on the counter for some reason. Something round. Like someone's rotated something around there. Very weird. Now, can we... That's quite a few little fine scratches on there, so that's never going to come off, which is a shame. Now, the important bit, does any of this come off? Not really. That's what I was afraid of. At least that other big mark there is coming off. Don't know, it's almost a place where you could use a bit of, yeah, acetone to see if it actually takes something off, but it'll probably do more damage than good, but it will eat into this sort of plasticky stuff. Still a lot of filth coming off it, so it's pretty dirty. Often the case that this stuff seems to get dirt down into the sort of grain on it. I mean, look at this. Yeah, it's got grease on it or something. Yeah, we're getting little grease balls coming off everywhere. Lovely. Yeah, let's get rid of the worst of that, I think. Yeah, real shame when you get like those stain marks on it that just ruin it. I mean, you're not going to see it stacked on a heap of components unless it's the top one anyway, but still. Bit of methane doesn't really do anything, I don't think. Which is a bit of a shame. Still getting a bit of greasy muck off there. I think they're a little bit better than they were, but not sure. It's possibly faded away a bit. I guess I could try maybe risking a bit of polish on there, or like I say, even a little bit of, maybe try a bit of acetone in an inconspicuous spot. God. Ooh, it made something change colour for a second, and then it's definitely taken a little bit of that gold colour off, which might be what we need. Just in those dark patches. It's weird, it goes all sort of dark coloured, and then don't think it's making any difference of any use. Possibly made that bit a bit worse. So I think we'll abandon acetone. Maybe some polish will do something. It's a bit risky, but if we can just take a little bit off. No colour really coming off. I don't think it's made the slightest difference. Possibly it's made it a little bit less obvious, but hard to say. I don't think it did anything. Still, it looks better than it originally did, so that's something. Yeah, shame about that scratch there is probably the worst thing, and that mark on that one, that's got a little bit of marking. There's another scratch on the door, and a bit of a mark on there. I didn't clean that bit off properly. Area, or maybe it didn't come off at all, I don't know. Bit of dirt still coming off. But generally not too bad a conditioned deck, and not too bad a looking deck overall. Give it another run. Enough of the love songs. Let's try a bit of Johnny again. Yeah, it's like it's muted for a little bit. probably just that thing. It sounds a little low on the bass really, but that's probably just that particular album. Don't think it ever was exactly known for a lot of bass. The overall thing does sound a little tinny, to be honest. But maybe this one, maybe I wonder if they've tweaked it up so that it sounds better with a Dolby or something. Not impossible, I guess. Yeah, the Dolby isn't quite as noticeable on this one. Oh, still hitting stop instead of eject. So it certainly doesn't kick in, so maybe this is slightly different in its equalisation or something. Not really sure there, but it doesn't sound as bad as some where the Dolby really cuts the high end out. As soon as you go to Chrome or anything, it obviously changes the bias, and that's noticeable. But yeah, quite a nice little deck by the look of it. So just showing it's got a few marks. I expect a few, and a bit of staining on the top. But I'll have to dig that amp out. I've got to try and retro bright the display perspex on that one. So if I could get that thing looking good again, and this hopefully matches it, then it might make a good little pair. But anyway, that's how it should go when you put a new motor in something. It should all sound really nice. Just weird, that motor that was playing up in the AOS, so I don't know what on earth was going on with that deck, but this one, yeah, exactly how it should be. You just pop it in, replace the belts, everything works fine, and that's what I was hoping would happen. So there's nothing wrong with that old stock, or old new stock I guess we should call it, motor. And like I say, this, I wouldn't be surprised if the 99 on this one is the year it was made as well. So I guess all these cassette player motors, oh, that's the Mabuchi. Maybe they're both Mabuchis. I forget who the other manufacturer was, but that was the one I originally was just going to order for this, and I thought I'd order one of the other ones as well, just to see what the difference was, and then pretty much the same motors. I think the other one's just got the benefit of it's sealed up the holes in the front, which is probably a better design. I think they're around the same price. But anyway, that's got it going for now, so thanks for watching.